The movie begins with a young guy, Kwon Yu, a former Taekwondo champion who now spends his days playing video games at an internet cafe. He's unemployed but an expert gamer. In the online world, his character, Captain, is a top player and the leader of a team called Resurrection. He always helps others in the game, even risking his own character's life for them. One day, after finishing a gaming session, Kwon Yu finds a smartphone ringing nearby. When he picks up, a girl on the other end says she left it at the cafe and asks him to return it to her home. At first, Kwon Yu refuses. He doesn't want to leave his game, but when she offers him $300, he changes his mind and heads to her apartment. When he arrives, the door is open. The girl is in the shower, speaking to him from behind partition. She tells him to leave the phone on the table and take the money. Before leaving, Kwon Yu warns her to lock the door, as it's unsafe to leave it open. The next morning, Kwon Yu is jolted awake by police officers storming into his room. He's arrested and accused of murdering the girl. Confused and terrified, he has no idea what's going on. His hands are covered in blood, and a blood-stained weapon is found in his room. The evidence is overwhelming. His fingerprints and DNA are at the crime scene. Security footage shows him entering the apartment, and shockingly, even his semen is found there. Kwon Yu is accused of assaulting a young girl twice, and then stabbing her to death. The news spreads like wildfire, turning him into the most hated person overnight. His mother, a nurse, rushes to the police station, but they won't let her see him. Desperate to prove his innocence, she hands out flyers, claiming he was framed. But no one believes her. Instead, people mock her. Hoping for help, she turns to a politician, Mr. Min. But even he hesitates, because the evidence against Kwon Yu is overwhelming. The trial moves quickly under media pressure. The court declares him guilty and sentences him to life in a maximum security prison, with no chance of parole. On top of that, he must serve 5 years in a rehab center because they think his gaming addiction led perverse behavior. Society believes that gaming and unemployment drove him to commit the crime. One night, he is secretly transferred to a high-security prison. There, Kwon Yu is like a lost child among ruthless criminals. He soon catches the eye of the gang leader, Ma Deok-soo. The guards see what's coming but don't intervene when Ma signals them to stay out of it. On his first day, Kwon Yu is brutally beaten. In a desperate move, he punches Ma back, which only fuels the gang leader's rage. The beating gets worse. When the guards step in, Ma twists the story, blaming Kwon Yu for attacking him. As a result, Kwon Yu is thrown into isolation for 30 days. When he finally gets out, 2 prisoners approach him, pretending to be on his side. They claim they hate M's gang too, but their real motive is twisted. They want Kwon Yu to describe every detail of the crime. They're eager to hear how he killed the girl after assaulting her. Kwon Yu stays silent and walks away. Later, Ma and his gang capture him again, beating him brutally and injecting him with something that makes him chew the flesh off his own arm. In prison, Kwon Yu is constantly tortured. One day, his mother visits him with a legislator, Mr. Min. She is heartbroken to see his wounds and can tell he is suffering. She tells him she has found someone who can prove his innocence and promises she's fighting for his freedom. She urges him to stay strong, saying she doesn't want to be the mother of a rapist and that he shouldn't live as one. Her words shake Kwon Yu deeply. With renewed determination, he faces prison life, but M's gang continues to torment him. At the dining table, a kind inmate secretly gives Kwon Yu an herb to heal his wounds. He believes Kwon Yu isn't a killer, and suspect's mom knows it too, beating him just because he's an easy target. This realization fuels Kwon Yu's resolve. He won't be a victim anymore. When M's men come for him again, Kwon Yu hides and prepares a weapon using pens and paper. One by one, he takes them down, then knocks them out cold with a single strike. The next day, Mr. Min visits Kwon Yu with devastating news. His mother has taken her own life. He hands Kwon Yu her death certificate, needing his signature for the funeral arrangements. But Kwon Yu isn't allowed to attend. Mr. Min says she was driven to it by public humiliation. The news shatters Kwon Yu, but that night, his mother appears in his dreams and gives him a final embrace. The next day, Kwon Yu remembers his promise to his mother. He doesn't have to live as a criminal. Determined to clear his name, he attacks Ma and, in the chaos, even stabs himself. He's rushed to the hospital in a prison van. But suddenly, Kwon Yu wakes up and fights off the guards. He grabs a sharp object, holds it to the chief guard's neck, and demands the keys to his handcuffs. The guard hands them over, but before Kwon Yu can escape, the van crashes, injuring everyone inside. Somehow, Kwon Yu manages to free himself and crawl out of the wreckage. Standing on the road, he faces the chief guard, who aims a gun at him, but then lowers it. Maybe he knows Kwon Yu doesn't deserve to be in prison. He lets him go. Kwon Yu flees into the woods, stealing clothes and staying out of sight. His escape becomes a national emergency. While on the run, he spots a foreign couple stranded with a broken car. They're in a hurry to reach the airport. Kwon Yu helps fix their car, and in return, they give him a ride. Before leaving the country, they even hand him the car, telling him to sell it for money. Driving into the city, Kwon Yu heads straight to Mr. Min, the public attorney who once defended him. With nowhere else to go, he hopes Min will help. Min hands Kwon Yu his mother's necklace and promises to review his case. But then, he drops a bombshell. He's already called the police. Kwon Yu doesn't wait. He runs. Later, he hides in an internet cafe and searches for news about himself. Most of it is negative. But then, he finds a documentary questioning his conviction. The reporter points out something shocking. How could Kwon Yu commit such a brutal crime in just 3 minutes? The evidence doesn't add up. Some of it was tampered with. Maybe Kwon Yu isn't guilty after all. Kwon Yu watches the documentary and lets out a sigh. The writer turns out to be Mr. Harry, who used to play games with Kwon Yu as his captain. But then, Kwon Yu gets a message from Mr. Harry, who is actually a girl named Yul, one of his old teammates from Resurrection. She warns him that the cafe manager is about to call the police, so he needs to leave immediately. She then asks him to meet her at a diner. At the diner, Yul takes Kwon Yu to her hideout on the city's outskirts. She lives there alone, completely off the grid, a computer genius. She spends most of her time hacking and researching. She cooks a proper meal for Kwon Yu, which he devours after going hungry for so long. Soon, their other teammates arrive, eager to help him. Just like he always helped them in the game, Yul has been digging into his case and found several inconsistencies in the so-called evidence. The team investigates recent violent crimes that match Kwon Yu's situation. Security footage reveals a suspicious truck near every crime scene. When Yul traces the truck's records, she finds it belongs to a scrapyard. Kwon Yu sneaks into the scrapyard and spots 2 men loading a large case into a vehicle. He follows them to an apartment building where they enter the home of No Jun-young, a rising TV star. Hiding in the shadows, Kwon Yu watches as they open the case, and inside is No's lifeless body. Then, something even more shocking happens. A team of professionals arrives and starts staging the scene, planting fake fingerprints, scattering hair samples, and manipulating evidence to make it look like a completely different crime. What Kwon Yu doesn't know is that the entire apartment is under surveillance by legislative men. The true mastermind behind this setup. The real killer? The daughter of a wealthy businessman, Chairman Shu, desperate to protect her. Shu hires men to find a scapegoat, and that scapegoat is Kwon Yu. Mr. Min has a secret room in his building, locked behind facial recognition. Inside, he uses a powerful supercomputer to pick a scapegoat for Chairman Shu's daughter. His choice? A girl named Seo, who has no idea she's about to be framed. Meanwhile, Kwon Yu takes a photo from No's apartment and asks Yul to scan for fingerprints. He also wants to know who Min is targeting next. Soon, Yul tracks down Seo. At the same time, Min's team drugs Seo and collects her hair, saliva, and blood to plant as fake evidence. Then, they trick her into going to No's apartment with a phone call. But Kwon Yu is listening in. He recognizes a voice on the call. It's the same person who set him up in past. Back then, a rich man's son committed murder, and Kwon Yu was framed for it. Determined to get answers, Kwon Yu tracks down the woman behind the voice and tries to kidnap her, but she escapes on a motorcycle. As he gives chase, his car suddenly breaks down, another setup. Ma, who is freed thanks to Min's manipulation, captures Kwon Yu and takes him to a deserted place for revenge. Ma starts torturing Kwon Yu, but Yul sends a SWAT team to the location. Using the chaos, Kwon Yu escapes, and Yul picks him up in a car. While driving, Kwon Yu wonders how Min keeps finding him. Then, Yul discovers a tracker hidden in Kwon Yu's mother's necklace, a gift from Min. Heartbroken, Kwon Yu throws it away, knowing it's the last thing he had from his mother. Later, Kwon Yu's team sends drones to scan Min's building. They suspect he has a high-tech surveillance system, and they're right. The scan reveals massive computers pulling data from the public. Kwon Yu destroys the fake crime scene set up by Min's men in No's apartment. Frustrated, Min orders his team to wipe out the apartment and stage the crime scene somewhere else. But before they can finish, Kwon Yu ambushes them and wrecks their vehicles, stopping them from planting evidence. Meanwhile, Chairman Shu's daughter is hiding in a hospital, pretending to be a patient. She's impatient and wants to leave soon, so Chairman Shu pressures Min to finish his work quickly. Min moves the fake crime scene to another location, but Kwon Yu sees through his plan. Min tries to frame Chairman Shu's daughter by luring her to the scene, but Kwon Yu exposes a setup. The news spreads fast, and Min's scheme falls apart. Back at his apartment, Min gets a call from Kwon Yu, who warns him that his crimes will soon be exposed. Instead of panicking, Min, a twisted psychopath, is thrilled. He finally has a worthy opponent. He admits he was getting bored setting up fake crime scenes and welcomes a challenge. But before he can say more, Kwon Yu hangs up, angering him. Just then, Min notices his secretary lying dead outside. He realizes too late it was a trap. Kwon Yu is already inside. Min rushes toward his hidden escape room, but Kwon Yu catches up and knocks him down. Inside Min's high-tech computer lab, Kwon Yu beats him mercilessly. As he digs through Min's files, Kwon Yu finds countless videos of fake crime scenes, including the one used to frame him. But then he stumbles upon something even worse, videos of his mother, who had been protesting alone to clear his name. Min smirks and confesses that she didn't take her own life. He had her killed because she was causing trouble. Rage takes over Kwon Yu. He unleashes his fury, beating Min even harder, determined to make him pay. After beating Min unconscious, Kwon Yu starts copying his data, surveillance footage, call logs, and client details, onto Neo's thumb drive. But before it finishes, Ma calls Kwon Yu with a chilling threat. He has captured Kwon Yu's teammates at Yule's safe house and will kill them in 30 minutes if Kwon Yu doesn't show up. With no time to wait for the transfer, Kwon Yu rushes to save his team. On the way, En calls to say he's framing Yule for his next operation and has sent specialists to collect her DNA and other evidence. At the safe house, Ma tries to shoot one of Kwon Yu's teammates, but misses. Suddenly, the lights go out. Kwon Yu has arrived just in time. Using his incredible fighting skills, he takes down Ma's men and rescues his team. They escape and head to a TV station, dodging Ma's gang, men's subordinates, and the police. There, they discover that Men has manipulated the media into branding them as a dangerous crime ring. At the station, Yule sets up her equipment to broadcast the truth, while the others create a distraction. But things take a turn. Everyone except Yule gets captured by the police. Meanwhile, Kwon Yu's car is surrounded. With no way out, he steps out, hands raised. The entire city watches a tense moment unfold live on giant screens. Min is happy at first, but his joy quickly turns to shock when his command center shuts down. He realizes too late that Yo's thumb drive is still in his computer and has just finished its job, sending all the incriminating data out into the open. With the evidence from Min's computer, Yule puts together a powerful presentation. She takes over the TV station's broadcast and exposes everything. Min's crimes, his powerful clients, and the way they framed innocent people. She also airs Kwon Yu's case live, proving his innocence. The public, realizing they were wrong about Kwon Yu and many others who were jailed unfairly, is outraged. Panicked, Min tries to escape in his car, but Kwon Yu's team has sabotaged it by removing the steering wheel. He is quickly arrested, though it's hinted that an even bigger force is still lurking behind the scenes. Meanwhile, Kwon Yu and his team are cleared of all charges and released. Min ends up in prison, where he comes face-to-face with Ma, who is furious at him. Elsewhere, the foreign couple is reunited with their car, now in better condition than when they first gave it to Kwon Yu. In the final scene, Kwon Yu and his team celebrate together, eating and chatting happily. As they enjoy the moment, Kwon Yu smiles, lost in the memory of his mother.